What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back here again with another video. So we're gonna check out top 10 dumbest WWE gimmicks of the 21st century. Now, we've seen some awful gimmicks. Like, if you've been a fan of WWE for a while, you have seen, at least in your lifetime, as long as Vince McMahon had been in charge, at least a handful of gimmicks that was, as soon as you saw it on television, you just knew it was over for this wrestler. They're done. They're done. For example, Chad Gable, when they repackaged him as Shorty G, I thought it was over for him. I thought he was going to, at some point, get featured endeavored because the gimmick was so damn bad. What's another gimmick? What they did with Karrion Kross. Even though I don't even know what his gimmick was. They just changed his costume to look like a fucking Roman gladiator. I don't know what that was. So that was more of like a costume change, but it's still, for those who didn't know who Karrion Kross was in NXT, they probably thought, who is this fucking Roman JAG? You know, like this great value Roman JAG, like Roman soldier. Like, nah, get him out of here. You know, like, it's just one of those type of things where, you know, Vince, either he doesn't have anything for you and they'll just put some random bullshit out there just to see what happens, and you kind of gotta try to make it work the best way you can, and it'd be garbage. It'd be hot garbage. So we're gonna check out some of these moments, man. We don't see it as much on WWE television, which is good to see, or good to say. So let's get right into some of these horrible, dumb gimmicks we've seen over the years. Shout out to Stunned by Wrestling.
When it comes to bad gimmicks, we tend to look back to the 80s and 90s for a laugh, before wrestling became more reality-based. But the 21st century has also delivered plenty of hopeless and cringeworthy characters.
Facts.
So here are my picks for the 10 worst WWE gimmicks of the 21st century so far. Kicking off with Simon Dean, the fitness guru who had a revolutionary diet supplement to sell to WWE fans. He debuted in 2004 and was presented as a self-obsessed health expert, marketing his fictional diet supplement program called the Simon System. Dean would mock the fans and other wrestlers for their unhealthy lifestyles while promoting the benefits of his products. And who can forget that Segway that he used to ride to the ring? The whole gimmick was funny for a bit.
I remember this, the whole Segway to the ring. Oh my God, it's bringing back some nostalgia. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
About a week, but really, the Simon System stunk of the lower mid-card, and WWE lost interest very quickly too. It wasn't long before Simon Dean rode his Segway off into the sunset, never to be mentioned again.
Yep, sound about right.
The ECW Zombie debuted in 2006 on the very first episode of WWE's relaunched version of ECW. So many hard...
That should have let you know. And I think a lot of people had to fear that Vince McMahon getting his hands on it, he was going to ruin it. And he did. He fucking ruined it.
Core ECW fans were hoping that WWE were going to be serious in their revival of the brand, but as soon as they saw this monstrosity lumbering towards the ring, all of that hope went out of the window. The Zombie's only notable moment was his match against the Sandman, who, with his trademark kendo stick, dispatched him in record time. But there's a reason for WWE putting this terrible gimmick on the very first episode of ECW, because the show was on the Sci-Fi Channel, strangely enough, and the network requested that it had some kind of science fiction element. This was...
Yep, that makes sense. So it wouldn't even the network also wanted it to have some type of sci-fi type vibe to it, but it's like, bruh, it was doomed from the start. It was doomed.
WWE's way of making fun of the channel for making such a request, and originally it was going to be an alien from outer space landing in the ring, but he no-showed and so
Wow.
we ended up with the Zombie instead. After this single appearance, the ECW Zombie was killed off for good, and he never appeared on WWE programming ever again.
Good.
Before Pirate Paul Burchill swung into WWE in 2006, he was already known to SmackDown fans as just Paul Burchill, William Regal's one-time tag team partner. But when they split up, Burchill said that his ancestry could be traced back to the pirate Blackbeard, and so he wanted to portray a pirate going forward. And so it wasn't long before Pirate Paul Burchill appeared on Friday Night SmackDown. The whole gimmick wasn't...
My man looks like a great value Jack Sparrow. A Temu edition of Jack Sparrow. It's just, oh, brother. Oh, this... Jeez, man.
that Burchill was actually a pirate from the past, but that he started to believe that he was one. As Regal tried to convince him to come back to his senses and stop pretending to be a pirate, he would just fall further and further into the character. I have to admit, as a comedy character, Pirate Paul was pretty damn entertaining. His entrance was a lot of fun, and he certainly looked the part. Sadly, Pirate Paul Burchill was the one to walk the plank after a few months of playing the gimmick, but it was Mickey Mouse who pushed him overboard. Apparently, Disney weren't too happy with how close the character was to Captain Jack Sparrow.
I literally just said it. I just said it. And when Mickey Mouse says something, you fucking do it. It's simple as that. The only person that was going to make him walk the plank was Mickey Mouse, because he looks like a great value Jack Sparrow. So when you see him, you think of Jack Sparrow. Mickey Mouse is like, nah, don't do that. Stop that. Cease and desist. Vince has money. Mickey Mouse has old money. Long money. So, sound about right.
Jillian Hall debuted in 2006 as an associate of Eminem before becoming JBL's PR consultant. The elephant in the room, however, was the massive growth on her face. Yes, the joke was that Jillian was an image consultant who happened to have a huge mole on the side of her bonce. And so it wasn't long. 2007, she was given the gimmick of annoying singer after a backstage segment where she tried to impress music producer Timbaland. This act got old really quickly, and after a few weeks, fans were hoping that the Boogeyman would come back and this time rip out her voice box. It all started so well for Brodus Clay.
I remember
he
him
debuted
too.
on the main roster in 2011 as Alberto Del Rio's bodyguard. Then he took some time off TV and they started hyping up his return via various promo videos. But when Clay finally reappeared, nobody expected it to be like this. The era of the Funkasaurus was upon us. He now danced his way to the ring with the Funkadactyls, and we couldn't help but wonder why Vince McMahon had given him this awful gimmick. Apparently, it was all a rib on Dusty Rhodes, because back in developmental, Clay was one of Dusty's pet projects, and we all know how Vince loved to mess with the American dream.
That sound about right. Yep. Literally damn near destroyed one person's career because one person saw something in this guy. So you destroy his potential future as a rib to someone else. It's not even wrestling. That was Vince, y'all. Him. This guy, this fucking maniac. That was him.
Unsurprisingly, Brodus himself was reluctant to play the Funkasaurus until he worked out that it was either this or back to flipping burgers.
Yeah.
The gimmick went on for 2 long years, although his segments did make for a suitable piss break every week. A series of spooky videos in 2004 preceded Mordecai's arrival in WWE. In a room surrounded by candles, he said that all of us were sinners and that he would cast judgment upon the wicked and cleanse the world of sin. Yes, he was most definitely a bad guy. I believe the technical term is religious nutter. Mordecai walked to the ring dressed all in white with a crucifix, and in his first few matches he destroyed various jobbers, and then he beat Scotty 2 Hotty and Hardcore Holly on pay-per-view. Not a bad start, but then it all went to hell for Mordecai. All of a sudden, he got beat by Rey Mysterio on an episode of SmackDown, and that was it. He just disappeared. Rumours say that his character was designed to be the mirror image of The Undertaker, but WWE management wasn't happy with Mordecai's in-ring skills, and so they just cancelled him. Kevin Fertig, the man behind the character, was sent back down to developmental. He eventually came back a few years later as Kevin Thorne, a literal vampire. In 2020, Alexa...
That's crazy, bro. They was like, yeah, you know what? You're not that good in the ring. We're going to get you out of here. That was it. Just like that.
Bliss transformed into a sinister, supernatural character after spending too much time with Bray Wyatt. This new version of Alexa included eerie behaviour, and she introduced a weird doll.
It started off interesting, and then it just... Once Bray was gone, and then they just had her pretty much take over his gimmick, I was like, yeah, I'm not liking this. I'm not liking this at all.
Named Lily. Then she started to display supernatural powers like mind control, where she seemingly could bend the fabric of reality, and she even hypnotised her opponents during matches. I personally hate it when WWE do supernatural stuff because it instantly breaks your suspension of disbelief. And this crap with Alexa was just awful.
This was awful.
What made it even worse was that it made no sense. I mean, what was this nonsense all about? Can you believe they did this at WrestleMania, of all places? Okay, here's 5 for the price of 1. Kenny, Johnny, Mitch, Nikki and Mikey. It's the Spirit Squad. Back in 2006, WWE called up these 6 talented young wrestlers and turned them into the company's first ever male cheerleading squad. They debuted at the Royal Rumble and started to immediately get under the fans' skins. Then they became Vince McMahon's dumb cronies in his feud with Shawn Michaels, before Kenny and Mikey became the tag team champions and feuded with DX. And to be fair to them, these guys tried their very hardest while playing the gimmick, but ultimately they were still just a bunch of annoying male cheerleaders. It was only Nikki who would have any success in WWE after the breakup, and he became better known as Dolph Ziggler. Matt Bloom was widely recognised by
and they dropped the ball with Dolph how many times?
WWE fans as Prince Albert during the Attitude Era, mainly thanks to his unique look, and by that I mean his hairy back. He was later repackaged as A-Train, where he teamed up with The Big Show at WrestleMania 19 to take on The Undertaker. Bloom left WWE and went to work in Japan to wrestle as Giant Bernard. He became massively successful as a heel over in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he didn't return to the US until 2012. But when he came back to WWE, they rebranded him as Lord Tensai. The gimmick...
And we saw right through it. It's like, oh, that's fucking A-Train, bro. We saw right through it, bro.
Portrayed him as an American, transformed into a Japanese warrior after years in the Japanese dojo. However, fans quickly realised that he was the former Prince Albert, and so started chanting "Shave your back" and Albert at him during his matches. And when they weren't chanting, they sat in silence, because this new gimmick absolutely sucked. Sadly for Matt Bloom, it didn't matter how famous he was in Japan, the WWE fans were not buying A-Train as a main event heel. After a few months, the company turned him into a comedy character, and then he retired altogether. In 2005, Chavo Guerrero apparently
Cold.
lost his mind and transformed
business.
into Kerwin White.
Yep,
Yes,
I remember
Chavo
this.
decided to ignore his Hispanic heritage and started living life as a Caucasian.
As a
His new catchphrase
Bro.
was, "If it's not white, it's not right." He died in
This was the thing, y'all. That was a thing.
his hair and became a golf-playing, sweater-wearing conservative, complete with golf buggy, which he would ride to the ring during his entrance. Now, this was during the Ruthless Aggression era, and Kerwin White really was the tip of the iceberg when it came to questionable gimmicks. That was until he stepped it up a gear by making suggestive remarks towards African Americans, Hispanics, Asian Americans, Native Americans, and other non-white people, and at one time, specifically, towards Shelton Benjamin. WWE quickly dropped the gimmick after Chavo's cousin Eddie passed away, and Kerwin White was never mentioned again. Probably for the best.
Oh my gosh, bro. This was a great video, man. I'm going to go ahead and give this a like. This deserves a like. Y'all go subscribe to Stunned by Wrestling. I'm going to link down the original video down below so you guys can definitely go ahead and check it out, because that was a great one, man, to go back down the memory lane. Some of these I didn't even remember being an actual thing, but to go back down memory lane and to see some of the worst, and I mean this, some of the worst gimmicks that WWE has recently put up in the 21st century. They had some awful gimmicks back in the 70s and 80s and even in the 90s, but it continued on. As long as Vince McMahon was in control, there was a good chance you were going to see some just trash gimmicks, and a lot of times it would kill the momentum of that wrestler to the point where they would get featured endeavored. Comment down below, let me know some recent trash gimmicks. It don't even have to be WWE. It can be any company, AEW, TNA, whichever company you've seen something recently where you're just like, who came up with this gimmick? Who thought this was a good idea? But I appreciate all love, support. Road to 150K, and I'm still getting the speed of YouTube wrestling champ of the world. Appreciate y'all kicking in with me. See you on the next one. Peace.